Welcome back to the Heal with God podcast. I'm your host, Heather O'Brien. And today we're going to talk about why you're too busy to rest and how planning your healing from trauma is actually going to change everything. If you've ever felt like you don't have time to rest, I get it. With everything that you've got going on, it can feel impossible. I used to think I couldn't afford to take a break, but in reality, I couldn't afford not to. And that's what I want to help you understand today. If we don't prioritize rest, we're actually sabotaging our healing. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about when to rest, how to plan for it, even in the midst of your busy life. You deserve this time with God, and I'm here to help you carve out that space. Hey warrior, welcome to Heal with God. As a Christian struggling with trauma, anxiety, and depression, you long for peace, but you worry healing might never come. I'm Heather O'Brien, and I've been there. Through learning to hear God's voice, I found the freedom and peace I was desperate for. If you are ready for real healing and freedom from fear, this podcast is for you. I pray the spirit of revelation fills your heart, and may you hear God's voice as you tune in. Warrior, have you ever wondered why indecisiveness, procrastination, or anxiety keep holding you back no matter how hard you try to move forward? Well, I'm hosting a free prophetic healing workshop on Monday, March 10th, 2025, where I'll be coaching live. In this workshop, you'll discover the root causes behind these struggles so that you can begin healing and breaking free from the patterns that keep you stuck. I'll walk you through 3 simple steps to move forward with confidence and peace, even if it feels like you've tried everything before without success. During this workshop, I'll also be doing live coaching for a few lucky winners. If you're ready to take that first step in your healing journey, go ahead and sign up now because winners for the live coaching will be chosen on a first-come, first-served basis. So don't wait too long to get your spot. Ready to start your healing transformation? Check out all the details and sign up today at the link in the show notes. I know the feeling of being overwhelmed with a never-ending to-do list, but it wasn't really until I intentionally scheduled rest that I began to experience the lasting peace that I want to talk to you about today. God doesn't want us to rest when we're burned out. He wants us to plan it, to set aside time that we can heal. There was a time when I started planning a monthly getaway girl time. And I would go away for the weekend and I would come back thinking that must be the thing that's going to help me feel refreshed. But then I wasn't. And I took this to prayer with God and I said, God, I took the weekend off from time with my kids, time working on the church, time cleaning my house and all the things. And yet I came back and I was still frustrated and even times angry and not feeling my best. And then I remember thinking, okay, so that weekend away didn't do it. Maybe I need a whole week. And in prayer, I felt the Lord saying, okay, you get a whole week. How are you going to feel? And I thought through it and I thought, I'm going to feel exactly the same. No matter how much time I get away, I'm going to feel the same. So what is it that I need to do to actually start feeling better? And the answer is what we're going to talk about today. So I want to go over 3 main points that I learned through my process of healing. Number 1, rest is intentional. It actually requires a plan. A plan in place is a plan to not fail. And number 2, rest can happen even in the chaos. Number 3, we have to schedule our healing time. Okay, so let me go back to number 1. Rest is intentional. It actually requires planning. And so we can even go back to the word the Sabbath. Taking the Sabbath isn't something that just happens. Taking a vacation isn't something that just happens. Cleaning your house isn't something that just happens. Having a scheduled life, a life that's full of peace, doesn't just happen. People often ask me, how do you get so much done in your day? And I'm like, well, I actually planned it out. I plan out everything and it really actually helps me with anxiety. Maybe you're thinking creating that plan makes you feel anxious just to think about it. And even creating the plan needs a plan. You need to plan out what you want to plan out. And you could go back to Decluttering Your Life, episode number 143, where I talk with Emily McDermott. She tells us the 5 B's, the 5 different buckets, a little blueprint that can really help you plan out all of the different areas of your life. You're going to want to make a different plan for different areas of your life. For instance, I have a whole cleaning schedule that took me months to figure out what it looks like to practically apply to my life. And you can download that. I have a free cleaning schedule. I'll link that in the show notes. But it's like you've got to bucket out what you want to do for all of the cleaning tasks, okay? But your healing needs buckets of different plans of healing buckets. For instance, there might be certain things that you need healed up in your life. You might need a plan how you're going to walk away with a healing plan for a certain tragic moment that happened in your life, a certain trauma that happened in your life. You might need to plan it out. You might also need to plan the Sabbath. And that's what I'd really like to talk about today. The Sabbath is something that doesn't just happen. I'm talking about taking an intentional time to rest in your week, throughout the week. It looks different for everybody. It's not going to look the same for everybody, but it's not just going to happen. In Exodus 20, verses 8 to 11, it tells us to remember the Sabbath, meaning we have to plan for it. And if we don't, we're going to be too busy for it. We're going to say we don't have time for it. And I've said this before. If that's on your lips, I don't have time to rest. Listen, that's a problem. It shouldn't ever be an excuse that we have, because it's actually mandated by God. And we have to get over ourselves and thinking that we're too important to rest, because God's commanding it of all of us. Okay, so rest is intentional and it requires planning. So number 2 is rest can happen even in the chaos. You might feel like you can't rest because everything going on around you. You have too many things to do. You have too many obligations. But rest doesn't actually mean to stop everything. It means choosing peace in the midst of the storm. It means it's a choice. It's a choice to plan out. It's a choice to plan amidst your busy schedule. If you take my trauma painkiller roadmap, you're going to see how I teach you how to plan out your healing path, how to plan out a Sabbath, how to plan out healing, how to plan out cleaning your home. All of the decluttering that needs to happen in your life actually needs to happen with a plan. A plan in place is a plan to not fail, and it can happen amidst the chaos. So what I'll often teach people, let's, for instance, who are grieving, and maybe they haven't taken time to grieve. I'll say, I actually don't want you to grieve very long. I don't want you to take more than 30 minutes to do it. And in fact, if you're doing it more than 30 minutes a day, you're probably not going to feel your best. I want you to put it on your calendar. So this is the third step: schedule your healing. First, you got to know rest is intentional. It requires planning. That looks like get a spreadsheet out. Oh, I love a good spreadsheet. Plan out your 5 B's. Go back to episode 143 to understand what the 5 B's are. Then rest can happen in the chaos. That means you're going to know what it looks like to step away. Maybe you have a lounge chair that you can just go sit in. Maybe you can go sit in your car. Maybe you got to know where this is going to happen, when it's going to happen. And the scheduling is the last thing. I want you to make it like an appointment in your calendar. Like when you go to the dentist, you're going to go get your hair done. You're going to go get groceries. I plan for cleaning around my house. I plan for things. I picked up a pickup order today, and guess what? If I want to pick it up, I know I have to plan it the day before. And in order to do that, I put it on my calendar. So this is the last step, is just like any other appointment, make rest a non-negotiable part of your week. Your Sabbath, you need a plan. What day are you going to Sabbath? It's just like a vacation. It doesn't just happen. Your Sabbath is going to need you to prioritize all the other things in order to have one day. It's not one day off. Oh, please understand me. A Sabbath is 2 things. Sabbath is not doing your ordinary work and worshiping God. That's what a Sabbath is. And then you need to have many Sabbaths throughout your week, where it's 5 minutes here and there, where you're taking a deep breath amidst the chaos. You're taking time for physical, emotional, spiritual, mental rest on purpose with God. It could just be time when you're in the bathroom, where you're just separating yourself. And you're just saying, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath right now. I'm going to remember whose I am, who's in charge, that my steps are ordered of the Lord. Maybe it's time to do some declarations in front of the mirror. All of these times can be scheduled. It can be, if you're working all day, you've got an 8-hour job where you're sitting in your desk all day, you still go to the restroom regularly, I hope. I want you to plan to go to the restroom. If you don't, I do know people that skip that even. Put it in your calendar. And when you go to the restroom, take time to just look in the mirror and do, 3 to 5 affirmations, taking deep breaths. My watch has an app where you can actually take deep breaths with it. My Bible app, the YouVersion Bible app, actually has a time of reflection where you can take really deep breaths and it'll lead you through reflection. Find something that you're doing on purpose at a scheduled time every day, but then also find a scheduled time to take a weekly Sabbath that's a whole day. Okay, so this rest is actually non-negotiable. It's required. It's part of God's best for you. In conclusion, I want you to take some action. Don't just listen to this and take no action. Even if it's imperfect action, I want you to take some action. Take a look at your calendar. Intentionally schedule time to rest this week. Plan the one day for the Sabbath where you don't engage in your regular work, but instead you're focusing on being present with God. And this isn't about what you can't do. Remember, it's about what you can do to allow God to heal you. And then take a moment to look at your calendar and think about how can you bucket out just little spots here and there throughout your week to put appointments in your calendar with reminders to remind you of what you need to do. Commit to planning rest into your life weekly, daily, and invite God to restore you in ways that you can't imagine. If you plan this, it's actually going to happen. And this is all part of my Trauma Painkiller Roadmap. I'll actually hold your hand and walk you through planning out your healing. If you're interested in that, go to heatherobrien.net/courses. But if your life feels hectic, I want to encourage you to start planning rest into your week. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to happen. When you make time for rest, you make time for healing. So I want you to remember that. Healing and rest go hand in hand. So go ahead and schedule your healing today. I know you can do this. I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. You got this. As we wrap up, I want to remind you about the free prophetic healing workshop happening Monday, March 10th, 2025, where I'll be coaching live. If you've been stuck in patterns of procrastination, indecisiveness, or anxiety, this workshop's for you. Together, we'll uncover the root causes of these struggles so that you can finally break free and move forward with confidence and peace, even if you've tried everything else without success. Imagine what it would feel like to start your healing transformation and no longer feel held back by fear or overwhelm. During the workshop, I'll guide you through 3 simple steps that'll help you take the first step toward freedom. Plus, a few lucky participants will get live coaching, but spots are limited and will go fast. Don't let this opportunity slip by. Sign up today. The link is in the show notes, and let's start your healing journey together. I'm Heather O'Brien, and it's been such an honor to be in your earbuds today on the Heal with God podcast. If you're looking to hear God's voice, heal from the inside out, and maybe even share a laugh or two, you're definitely in the right place. Every Monday, we bring you powerful interviews and practical tips to support your healing journey. And every Thursday, join me for a Pray and Declare episode, because it's like a spiritual spa treatment to realign your heart with God. Just a quick reminder, while the content here is meant to inspire and guide, it's not a substitute for professional care from your physician or therapist. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Join us back every Monday and Thursday. And until then, I'm praying blessings and favor will chase you down.